Do you want to know how I get my clients into such great shape and then actually help them maintain that progress in the off season? It's not just about starving yourself on low calories. It's about using a nutrition strategy. One of my favorite tools, carb cycling. It's a method I like to use with my lifestyle and competitor clients because it teaches you how to burn fat, keep the muscle, while improving on gym performance. Basic outline on how to set up a diet based off of your specific goals. Now, when it comes to any goals, we need to make sure we are eating the correct amount. Now, to figure out what the correct amount is, we need to find what's called your TDEE, or your total daily energy expenditure. To simply put it, TDEE is your maintenance calories. So it's how many calories you need based off of a normal day of activity to maintain your current weight. The simplest way, I just recommend going into any online calculator, calculating it out based off of your stats to figure out roughly what your TDEE is. The next thing we need to figure out is, what is your goal? Are we trying to lose weight, maintain weight, or gain weight? So another number that we need to be aware of is how many calories that we're going to be manipulating. So fat is about 3,500 calories for every 1 pound. Muscle for every 1 pound is about 2,000, about 1,800. So let's say we have a TDE of 2,800 calories. If, let's say we want to lose about a pound of fat a week, we need to be in about a 500 calorie deficit. So for that, for loss, I want to be eating roughly 2,300 calories. Now, if you want to gain, so this 2,000, you're looking at a little about 250 calorie surplus there that you would need. So to gain about a pound a week, you would want to eat in a surplus of about 250. So that is going to be your start. Now, as your body weight manipulates, your TDE will also change. So we need to adjust those variables as you go. So tracking daily and creating weekly averages to manipulate these numbers as you go to continue seeing progress is super, super important. But this is a great way to create that baseline of seeing how many calories you need to be eating. The next thing we're going to talk about is macronutrients. So what are macros? You have proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Those are our three main macronutrients. First thing with macros that I like to set up is our hierarchy, which would be protein. So for protein, every 1 gram gives you 4 calories with the goal of building. So protein is what our body uses to repair itself, whether it's muscle, skin, organs, all of that. So protein is super, super important. Now, my daily recommendation is between 0.8 to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. For surplus, I'm actually closer to this 0.8 to about 1 gram per pound of body weight. When you have higher calorie intake, you're a little bit more protein sparing, so you can actually get away with a little bit less protein. And when you're in a deficit, I'm closer to that 1 to 1.5 grams because it's more satiating, and you want those calories to help preserve the muscle mass that you've worked so hard to build. It's fats. Now, I always go proteins, then fats, because our bodies essentially need 2 things to survive. You need essential amino acids and essential fatty acids. So the next one I care about is fats. So for you get 1 gram, you get 9 calories, so it is a lot more calorically dense. Now, fats are there for health. It's good for hormone functions, joints, all of that. For that, when I'm selecting it, I want it to be about 15 to 25% of my total daily calorie intake is coming from fat sources. Lastly is carbohydrates. So carbohydrates for every 1 gram is about 4 calories. Now, there are some caveats there, whether you're eating fiber, and then there are things like sugar alcohols, which have some carbohydrate caloric intake, but it's less than normal carbs. But rule of thumb, 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories. And our body uses carbs strictly for energy. And really, as far as how much carbs to eat, I just give whatever the remaining is. So I go proteins, fats, carbs. So I figure out what my goals are for these two, and then whatever calories I have remaining, I give to carbohydrates. This is a very simple outlook on how to set up a diet to implement it with a carb cycling style diet. Now, starting out with the carb cycling, you have 3 days. You have a high, a medium, and a low day. Now, regardless, you want to base it off of your averages. So starting out, you got to figure out how many calories you want to eat on average throughout the week. So you get your TDEE, and then you adjust it based off of your goal. So whether you're trying to gain or lose weight. And then that will be your average calories based off the week. Next is protein. Protein on average should be about 0.8 to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. Everyone has their own preferences. Some people like higher protein, some people like lower. Then we have our fats. Fats across the week should be about 15 to 25% of your total calories for the week. And then lastly, carbohydrates to me always get the remaining. Even though we are on a carb cycling diet, it is as from a health perspective, the least important of the 3 macronutrients. but our whole point is to manipulate that so we can see results for gym performance. Starting out here, so once we figure out what our calories should be across the board, then we get to break down into the remaining. So on the high day, obviously it's going to be high carb, should be average protein, very low fat, and really fat sources should be coming just from your protein. Then we have our medium day, which is about average, right? So it's going to be your average carbohydrate, your average protein, and your average fat, which should match about here. Lastly is our low carb day. The whole point here is to deplete our glycogen storages. So on our high carb days, we can actually oversaturate and fill up our glycogen storage. All right, so I'm going to use me as an example here just to show y'all how I would input these numbers. So I weigh about 208. I have an estimated TDEE of 3,200. I go to the gym 5 days a week, and my goal right now is to lose 2 pounds per week. So I'm going to be in a calorie deficit, roughly 1,000 calories. So that means my average kcal should be right at 2,200. That being said, I want to have about 1 gram per pound of body weight. So I'm going to give myself 210 grams on average across the board. And I want about 20% of my total calories coming from fat. So that's right around 50 grams on average daily. Then the remaining calories should be about 225 grams going to carbohydrates. So starting out, I'm going to do 1 high day per week, 4 mediums, and 2 lows. So that would give me an average calories of 3,000 on my high days, 2,200 on my medium day, and 1,800 on my low day. So essentially all these numbers will add up to these averages over here, but I have for my fats, it's about 30 grams, 210, and 470. On the medium day, you're looking at 50, 210, 225, and on the low days, 60, 210, and 105. So on average, yes, my fats get really low on this day and my carbs get really low on this day, but on average, it's there. So my weight will fluctuate day to day on this style of dieting. However, based off of my total calories, it will be on a downward trend. So it's going to go up and down, but it'll be trending downwards. When would I place these? So high days would be on days that I either struggle on, so it's a muscle group I'm trying to bring up, or on days that require a lot of energy, like a leg day. So for me, something I've always struggled on would be like my chest, shoulders, and arms. So I would actually probably place this on a push day, and I try to always place it after a low carb day because I want to be as depleted as I can be going into a high. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I would structure it based off of my training. So I'm currently running a push-pull lower, upper, lower split. So as I mentioned, I'm trying to bring up my chest, shoulders, and arms. So I would either place that on my push day, which I'd play on Monday, or my upper day where I'm doing that on Friday. So there's kind of 2 ways how I would set this up. So rest days, I always take as low days. So that's increasing my fat intake to help with hormone recovery and protein stays steady. And because I'm not training, I don't need the extra carbs and glycogen. So I would go lower, high, medium, medium, low, medium, medium. Or I can push it on my upper day where I might require a little bit more energy because I am training the full upper body. So then I could go low, medium, 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 low, high, medium. So those are kind of the 2 ways that I would set this up. Guys, I hope this helps. If you want more information like this, follow along. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below. Remember to train hard, eat well. Let's get it.